Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Every year around the month of July, I do a top underrated games of the last year. And I do this because, top 10 lists are great. We all do these top 10 best games of the year, and it's great because I get validated in my decisions when I see other people put them on their list. I also learn about a bunch of games that I hadn't heard about. I love those. But there's also always more than 10 great games in a year, and so I like to do a video on some of those great games that maybe didn't get as much attention. That's why I do it in July. It's because the dust has settled from 2022. And so to be eligible for this video, a game can't have been on a bunch of top 10 games of the year list, including mine, and it also can't be in the top 1,500 on BGG. If it's in the top 1,000, top 1,500 on BGG, it's already doing pretty well. And so all of these games are ones that aren't that high on there, though some of them are still in that 2,000 range, which is still pretty good on there. And just so you know, my top 10, if you hadn't seen it, my top 10 video of 2022, the games were on my top 10 list: First Rat, Creature Comforts, Chronicles of Avil, Blood on the Clock Tower, Ready Set Bet, Scout, Green Team Wins, Acropolis, Starship Captains, and Wonderland's War. And so I stand by all of those games. I still love all of those games. All of those games deserve to be on a top 10 list. These games I'm talking about today don't replace any of those games. These are just, 10 more amazing games that I don't think got enough attention and I think should get more attention. So I'm making this video on my top 10 underrated games of 2022. I'm starting with an honorable mention because I'm a coward who couldn't commit to 10, so I'm squeezing an 11th game into this video. But honestly, the reason why I'm doing this one as an honorable mention, it's a great game that I love, but I certainly acknowledge it is not for everyone. And that game is Spaceship Unity. And the reason I don't think it's for everybody is it is one of the most unique games I've ever played. It's honestly a bit weird, but if you go into it with the right spirit, if you go into it with the right attitude and you get into the spirit of the game, it's a really great time. So basically what you're doing, it is a storytelling game, but you are involving things in your house to move the story forward. You literally have to go run over and, pull the blinds up and down and do this. And those blinds, those are meant to be your shields on your spaceship. And so you're opening and closing them to raise the shields. Things like that. And so, the whole story of the game is you are in the spaceship and you're having to negotiate a truce between warring factions. You're kind of like a Star Trek-y type of spaceship where you're trying to keep the peace out in space. And, again, you'll be literally running around your house. You start a timer and it's like, you go there. Okay, I have to go over here and I have to switch all the forks and the spoons in my silverware tray. And now I'm crumbling up a little ball of toilet paper and I have to push it around the house. It's dumb, silly stuff like that. And that's what I mean. It's definitely not for everybody, but it is a really memorable night if you get into the spirit of the game. For a family game night or a date night or something like that, I think it's really great if you're on the same page and that sounds interesting to you. I've done it for a couple of date nights and they were huge hits, So yeah, Spaceship Unity, weird game, but super fun time if you get into it. My number 10 is Gartenbau from 25th Century Games. And it honestly surprises me that this game is on my list, that I like it as much as I do, because I usually like games that have more player interaction than Gartenbau does. But Gartenbau is just such a chill, relaxing time, I don't care. I don't care that we're all doing our own thing because I'm just like, man, this is like sunshine and flowers. That's what this game feels like to me. It's sunshine and flowers, It's sunflowers. I've combined them in a thing that nobody's ever heard of before. No, but seriously, all you're doing is you're doing a little rondel worker placement and then you are getting tiles for your own garden tableau. You know, we're not really doing anything on each other's tableaus, and you are putting tiles down, and then you're going to put tiles on top of other tiles, and tiles on higher levels are going to be, you know, get you more points and stuff like that. And so you are just arranging these flower tiles in different ways in your garden to achieve objectives, and those objectives will get you points. And even the like rondel worker placement is very chill. It's not mean-spirited at all. You're not really competing for stuff that often. Like every once in a while someone will be at a spot that you want to go to and you're like, dang, well, this one also works for me too. I'll just go over there. And so, you know, it's never mean at all. If you like really pretty artwork too, this has like this 1800s like vintagey Victorian flower look to it, so it's really pretty, and it feels, you know, like I said, it feels pretty on the table, but just also relaxing and stuff. So it's one that I really like. If I want just a chill night with friends, this is a really good option. So check it out, Garden Bow. Number 9 is Kites from Floodgate Games. This is a cooperative game where you are playing cards to turn over sand timers of different colors. And, you know, thematically, it's like keeping your kites in the air. You don't want one of the sand timers to run out, because then that color kite has hit the ground and you lose, okay? You lose when kites hit the ground. That's not the point. Kites aren't supposed to be on the ground. They're supposed to be in the air, you know? And so that's what the game is, you know. Thematically, yeah, sure, it comes across a little bit, but you're not really thinking about kites. You're just frantically trying to flip over sand timers and work together and play cards in the right order for your team to succeed. It's a really quick game. When I talk about like my most played games of the year, not just my favorite games of the year, but my most played games, Kites would for sure be in one of my most played games of 2022, because it plays super quickly. It feels very unique. I've never played another game like this where in real time you're just flipping over a bunch of sand timers, and you know, it's really energetic. It's like a great game for the start of game night where you're like, okay, everybody got here, let's get the energy flowing, you know, let's play Kites for 10 minutes, let's play Kites for 20 minutes, and now we're all on the same page, we're all having a good time together, we got some laughs in, we got the blood pumping, and now we're ready for another game. You know, I feel like Kites is one of the best beginning or ending of the night games because it's quick and energetic. So I really like it as a cooperative game. It's a really good family game too. It's a really good welcoming game. I've taught it to a bunch of people that, you know, don't play a lot of games, and it's always like one of those ones where people fail the first time and they go, okay, now I get how it's going, let's do it again. And then every time I play it, I feel like I play it 3 or 4 times in a row because each game is quick and fun. Number 8 is Tenpenny Parks from Thunderworks Games. I like tile laying games in general. It's probably one of my favorite genres. You know, polyomino tiles, there's a lot of great ones out there, but I love the puzzly aspect of it. You know, I don't like puzzles, but I like polyomino puzzly tile laying games. I don't know why, it's just how I feel on the inside. But Tenpenny Parks is a game where you are doing worker placement stuff, getting some resources, and then getting these tiles that you are going to use to build up your amusement park. But the difference of the game, the unique thing that we've never seen before, is most often in tile laying games, when you're putting a tile down, it needs to be adjacent to another tile. It needs to be orthogonal, a word that has never been used outside of board games ever. But, you know, that's when you put tiles down. In Tenpenny Parks, the whole thing is a tile can't touch another tile, which thematically works because you're building a theme park. You know, you don't want this water slide going into this roller coaster, or that's a lot of dead people at your amusement park. And we don't want that at Tenpenny Parks. We want everybody to live through this experience. And so you are putting tiles and they cannot touch other things. And so you are doing other things in your worker placement where you're clearing trees off of your board to make space. Maybe you're adding an extension to your board. You're extending your park, so now you have more space to put stuff down. I don't know. It's like a light medium weight game or a welcoming plus game where there's some real strategy to it, but it's still a game you can play in under an hour, and I really like that about it. It's also really elevated by the look on the table. Like, it is for sure one of the best looking games I've seen. The artwork, the color scheme, everything feels very vibrant. You know, there's this cool tent in the middle. It feels very circusy, you know. It's one of those games where, like, anybody walking by is gonna go, whoa, what's that? That looks cool. And you're like, yes, welcome to board games. My number 7 is Rear Window from Funko Games. If you are a fan of games like Mysterium or Obscurio, Rear Window really fits right into that genre, right into that world. And it's worth having, in my opinion. All three of them are different enough that I'm keeping all three of those games in my collection. Rear Window is based on the IP Rear Window, the movie from Alfred Hitchcock. And honestly, I didn't see the movie until after I played this game. I played this game with my roommate and he was like, oh yeah, this game's great. You should watch the movie. And I was like, okay. And so we watched the movie, but it's like you don't have to know that IP to enjoy this game. This is a sometimes cooperative game. So like a Mysterium, you have one player that is giving clues to other players who are trying to figure it out. And in this scenario, basically I have people in different windows and those people have traits. And traits like, might be like a global traveler or a foodie or something like that, something aspect of them, animal lover. And so I'm giving clues for you to try to guess who is in each window and what their trait is. And we only have 4 rounds to figure that out. And so the game always feels pretty tight. Every time I've played it, we've either won or lost by very thin margins, And so it's that thing where I'm giving you a clue, but I can't tell you what it is. I'm just giving you this clue and you have to go, okay, I think that's what they're trying to say there. Ooh, there's a shadow of people drinking wine, so maybe this is like a romantic or something like that, and you're trying to interpret clues. So it's mostly cooperative, but the reason why I say it is sometimes cooperative, in the beginning of the game, in the setup, you are taking these tiles and then pulling them out to decide what's in the 4 windows. And so you are pulling 4 tiles out of this. That's what determines the traits like animal lover or romantic or whatever. But there is a chance that you pull a murder tile out of it. And if the murder tile gets pulled, it is now not cooperative. I am trying to give you false information so that you don't get everybody right. But I can't get crazy with it. I can't do all false information. I need you to get like 7 of the 8 things right. I need you to get, I think the rule is you have to get at least 6 right, but you can't get all 8 right for me to win. And that little bit of unknown intrigue really makes this game feel different, where you're like, is he giving me bad clues? I can't figure out this one. Is he intentionally giving me bad clues? Or does he just not have something good to give me? Maybe he just doesn't have a good card from the card draw, and I don't know how to read this. I don't know if he's just an idiot or if he's nefarious right now. And I love that intrigue in the game. And so if you like that sort of one player giving clues and everybody else trying to interpret them, Rear Window is a really great game in that world of games. Number 6 is Bag of Chips from Blue Orange Games. And this is, for sure, the dumbest game on this list, but I love it so much. This is a game that looks like an actual bag of chips. It is a gimmick packaging, but it's also fun and striking and memorable. It's a game that wasn't on my radar at all. I didn't really care, but I had a copy of it and I was going on a trip and it's so small and easy to bring with you. I was like, whatever, I'll throw it in my bag, I'll bring it, maybe it'll hit the table. And it did hit the table and I immediately fell in love with it. You know, it's just so silly fun. It is a push your luck betting game, I suppose, but it's weird and unique in how the betting works. You start with sort of 5 betting cards, and then you are pulling chips from the bag and getting rid of betting cards for each round, trying to keep only the ones that are going to hit. And your betting cards might be like, there are more purple chips that have been pulled from the bag than red chips. That might be a card you have. And so as chips are getting pulled from the bag, you're like, okay, I'm still ahead on that one. I'll keep that one. But then it's like, you need to have equal orange and green chips. And you're like, that's never going to happen. I'll get rid of this one. And so you are getting rid of your betting cards, trying to only keep the 2 that you think will actually hit for you. And it leads to like big emotional moments at the end of the game, because there's like some cards where it's like, if the last chip pulled is a red one, you hit big. And so everybody at the table is like, come on. And then you pull a chip out of the bag and you're like, yeah! You know, I love games that have those big table reactions because it's memorable, it's social, it's fun. And Bag of Chips is great at creating those moments. It's definitely a party game, you know, there's not like a ton of strategy here, but there is a ton of fun here. And so if you want just a little easy party game to bring around with you, Bag of Chips is one of my favorite small box games out there. My number 5 is The Great Split from Horrible Guild. This is a game that has literally no theme at all, but I don't care because the mechanisms are so fun in it. Normally, I care that there's theme. Normally, I want there to be theme in my game. I would like it to be a good mix of theme and mechanisms, but in this game, the mechanisms are so much fun to me, I'm like, who cares that there's no theme at all? I overlook this and I want to play this game. In the game, you are collecting jewels or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You'll never think about it when you're playing it. It's basically a pure I split, you choose game. And then with the I splitting and you choosing, you're moving up tracks. You're moving up a bunch of tracks and getting bonuses, and those bonuses are going to help you move up other tracks. And, you know, it's just, tracks are fun. I split, you choose is fun, you know, because it's always that tough decision of like, how do I manipulate you to get what I want? I need to put this divider somewhere to entice you to take these ones so I get the other ones. And so the whole game is just that. You're passing here and you're getting back and you're getting from here and you're giving back and you're getting cards in both ways, splitting and choosing with both of your neighbors. And it's just, you know, it's just pure fun for sure, because again, it's those hard choices and you get stuff back and you're like, man, I want all of this stuff, but you can't have it. You can't have it all. And that's a great life lesson that you can learn by playing The Great Split. Just take what you need. You can't get everything. Number 4 is Veiled Fate from IV Games. This is a hidden role game, but it's not a party game. It's one of the most strategic hidden role games I've played before, and I love that because I love hidden role games in general. I love the social aspect of them. I love the intrigue that's built into them, but most of them are, you know, you need 8 players to make it fun and everybody's accusing everybody. This is a much more strategic hidden role game that you can play with as few as 2 players. Now, I would still prefer it with like 4 or something like that, but even 4 is a fairly small player count for a hidden role game, because everybody is assigned one demigod, but you don't know what anybody is scoring points for. You're only scoring point for one demigod, but I don't know which one you're controlling. And in fact, you can move any of the demigods in the game, and you want to move ones that aren't your own, so you're not super obvious about who you actually want to score points, which color you actually want to score points. So you are constantly moving other players' pieces, assigning them to quests, getting them points. You are giving points to other player colors just so people won't know who you are. But you have to try to get yourself points too. And so it's really great intrigue where you are putting the way the mechanisms work. There's a big board and there's different regions, and you are moving to different regions and going to quests in those regions, and then you are putting cards into the quests that will influence the outcome of it. And based on the outcome, are there more cards for this outcome or are there more cards for this outcome? It's going to give the player pieces on their different points or benefits, or even bad things will happen to you. And so it's just, I love the hidden voting with the cards that you're doing. I love the intrigue of moving a bunch of pieces around. If you like hidden role games, Veiled Fate is really, really interesting and definitely one to check out. My number 3 is Astra from Mind Clash Games. And I think one of the reasons this one fell under the radar is because Mind Clash is known for their big, epic, heavy games, and Astra is not that at all. This is the lightest game I've seen from them. Now, it's still not like crazy light. I don't know, you would put it at maybe that welcoming plus category, something like that, medium weight, but lower end of medium weight. So it's just not that big epic experience, but I don't care because it's a really, really great game that's super fun, and I think it deserves more attention even though this is not what Mind Clash is known for. They're gonna start releasing more games in this sort of medium weight game line, and I'm really excited to see what they do in that line because I myself personally am more of a medium weight gamer than a heavy gamer, and so I'm excited about what they're doing. Astra is a game, thematically, you are, there's constellations, and all the constellations are on cards, and you're filling out the constellations, and you're exploring, you're getting some of the constellations to do more exploring. And so it's very pretty, looking at all the constellations on the cards, but it's a really unique and interesting, I guess, area control game. It's almost hard to put it in that category because it feels different than other games I've played. You are drawing in certain color. You're drawing with your own colored pen onto different stars in a constellation. But the interesting part is, if you finish the constellation, you now get that card for the future, and that card comes with a ongoing special ability. But if you do not fill in the last star in that constellation, then you get a really good one-time bonus. They might be these little, gem tokens. They might be points. They might be telescopes that will help you do stuff in the future. There are reasons why you're like, I want to fill in all of the stars on this constellation, and I am not gonna fill in the last one. I am waiting for someone else to do it because I want that one-time benefit more than I want that ongoing ability. There are plenty of times that happens in this game. And there's an area control, area majority aspect to it, because when one person fills in the last star, they get the card, but you get special benefits from the card. You get those one-time special benefits in descending order of how many stars you have filled in. So if I've got 4 stars filled in and this guy's got 2 stars filled in, I get to pick my bonus first. And so there's still value in filling in a lot of stars on a constellation, but I just really think that push and pull is interesting of like, do I want to finish this and get the ongoing ability, or do I not want to finish this intentionally to get the one-time ability? It's really interesting and cool, and, again, is really pretty on the table. If you like pretty games, Astra is for sure a pretty game. My number 2 is Skate Summer from Pandasaurus Games. I grew up as a skateboarder, and when they announced this game, I was skeptical. I was like, let's see these posers try to pull off skateboarding. And then they pulled off skateboarding. I'm so surprised that they did it, but they did it justice, and it's a really, really fun game. You are playing cards, you have an individual, each person has their own skateboarder, and you are rolling dice and pushing your luck to maintain your balance on your skateboard. You are playing these cards that are shifting your balance in one way or the other, but if ever your balance gets shifted too much, you fall and bail and don't get any of the special benefits that you would have gotten if you stayed on your skateboard. And so that, thematically works, right? Skateboarding takes a lot of balance, and it's hard to pull off a bunch of tricks in a row. And I love the push your luck aspect of the rolling dice in this game of you're like, oh, if I could just get one more trick card in, it would be epic, but I'm so close to falling off. Is it worth doing? I love the tension in the push your luck aspect of the dice rolling in this game. I mean, I love push your luck in general, so this game does it really, really well. But that's not the whole game. Yes, that's my probably favorite part of the game, but then you're also moving around this big board, picking up tokens. Those tokens are going to get you points. They're going to get you special abilities, all that sort of stuff. So that stuff's fun too, moving around and figuring out how to level up your character, because there's a bunch of ways to level up your character, and that's really satisfying too, where you're like, ha ha ha, I just unlocked this for my guy because I'm the best skateboarder in town, I think they did a really good job with the skateboard theme, and it's one of those very, very strategic games, but also has that element of excitement with the push your luck dice rolling. Those are probably my favorite type of games in general. I want my games to have a mix of strategy and then just big emotional moments. One of my favorite games of all time is Champions of Midgard because of that, right? You can do as much planning as you want, but every once in a while you're like, let's just roll the dice, baby! And I feel like Skate Summer has that same feeling, so definitely check it out. And my number one underrated game of 2022 is Old London Bridge from Queen Games. This game is so much fun and plays so quickly. I feel like I can play this game when people know what they're doing. This is a game I can play in 30 minutes. We play this game all the time because it's constantly one of our go-to warm-up games. Let's play this, we'll bang it out in 30 minutes, then we can jump into something heavy afterwards. And so I love it for that aspect. And I love games where you're constantly having to think about what other people are going for, what they're trying to do. And Old London Bridge has that a lot, because you are playing cards down, and based on what you play, you are going to be taking tiles from these stacks. And so I'm thinking about, okay, what are they going for? Can they outbid me for this, or can I outbid them? And you lose the cards that you use to bid. That's a juicy aspect of it too. A lot of games you get to pick up your bid cards eventually. In this, you use it once and it's gone, so you better use it wisely. So you are constantly thinking about what other people are going for. And then it's also got some just really fun table presence, because when you take the tiles from the center area, you are making your London Bridge, and tiles have to go in descending order, and they go from, I think, 60 to 1, and so there's those tough decisions all the time in that too, where you're like, oh, that tile is gonna give me a special ability I want, but it jumps me from 47 to 26. Oh, is it worth doing that jump? I don't know. Okay, let's go for it. So it just has a lot of tension in the decisions. The decisions are easy to wrap your head around, but hard to make. And I love that aspect of it. This is another one of those games that, a lot of strategy in such a short playing time. And so I really love it. It's a game that I think is worth checking out for everybody. If you like games that are strategic and play fast and are full of difficult choices, Old London Bridge is really great for that. So that's what I got. Those are my top underrated games of 2022. As I mentioned, I do a top 10 games of the year at the end of the year / beginning of the year every year. And then I also jump in, around July with this underrated games list. So, check out all of the games from my top 10 games of the year, but also I think these are worth checking out too. These are ones that didn't get as much love, but I think are worth your attention, worth playing if you want to check them out. So I hope you found something here maybe you didn't know about before this video. That would be really cool. That's why they're underrated, because you didn't know about them. And so, yeah, check these, all great games. Check them out. I'm Grant's. I blew it at the end. I made it through this whole video, and right at the end, I blew it. I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am anymore. I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. If you want to support me and the content that I do, you're welcome to check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Grant's Game Rex. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. Like, subscribe, all the things. I'm supposed to say that, so I'm saying it.